Hey, have you heard about Anchor? You probably haven't heard about Anchor yet, so let me tell you about it. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. You probably hear other people talk about how they make podcasts. If they say it's easy, they're crazy. All of their methods are really hard and complicated, but Anchor, super simple. First off, it's free. They have creation tools that let you make the podcast right from your phone. You don't even need a computer. This is 2019. Who uses computers anymore? Anchor distributes your podcast on all the other platforms. No need to go do all that complicated searching and hosting and posting. Hosting and posting. They do it for you. You can also make money from your podcast. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, because you're listening to this ad. They've got everything you need to make a podcast in one spot. No need to search around all over the place. No need to go to 20 different sites. Just one. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Bet you thought I was going to sing right here, didn't you?
Are you looking for the hottest news out of the obstacle racing scene? Want to stay up to date on the freshest info, the latest podiums, and hear interviews with the who's who in OCR? Well, you've come to the wrong place. Well, some of that you'll find here. But we're not the media. This is not ORM, OCM, OCRM, ORCM. This is OCR Talk.
Let's see. I'm going to intro this time.
It's like the most awkward part of the episode.
All right, whatever. Hello, this is Jason Dupree.
And Anna Landry.
This is episode 19 of OCR Talk. Thanks for listening in. We are one episode away from 20.
20 episodes. That's crazy.
I think that means something.
20 episodes? Is that a landmark? Or landmark? Is that a is that a significant number? That's a lot more than I expected to begin with.
It's 10. It's double 10, and we celebrated 10 a little bit. We thought that was cool.
Yeah. So it's double 10.
So I guess after that, 25 is a important number, and then 50,
rounded off
and then
number.
100.
Yeah. God willing.
Man, it has been an interesting weekend. That is 100% for certain.
Yeah. Very interesting weekend.
We, of course, talked about how, last episode we talked about how we were going to do Savage this weekend, so that'll be a big topic of discussion. You also chose not to stay on Sunday and went back for the Breaking 2 relay, so we'll talk about that as well. We do have a couple of things just like, what's going on, OCR.
Related?
Yeah, just OCR related. The past week or two that's been happening. In that time, Spartan has had a couple of races. Tough Mudder had their Tougher Championship.
In Seattle.
Yeah.
Everybody's gearing up for Tahoe this weekend.
Yep. Tahoe's coming up. Matt B. Davis is going to be there, and Heather Bodie is going to be there. So they're more than likely going to bring a lot of coverage for that.
Right.
So that'll be good. I know we won't be there.
No.
I don't think Michael Stefano will be there.
Is Hunter going this year? Is Hunter going to make it if he's going to make an
appearance? And yeah. But no, they haven't. Obstacle Dominator hasn't put anything out since Benny's episode with Chris Rugalowski.
Yeah.
Which was a funny episode.
It was.
I thought it was a good episode.
It was good.
But the thing that was funny was while I was in Houston working, I got to go to Obstacle Warriors down there. And while I was there, somebody just randomly was like, "Did you hear Benny's latest episode? Talking about Chris Rugalowski and her calling out Alex Walker." And so that I haven't seen what's come of that, but I heard that Alex maybe even had her own little rant back at her. I don't know.
I'm sure it's all in good fun.
Yeah, hopefully.
But seeing them go head to head, now that would be I mean, I saw them run with each other in Austin in this year for the sprint. But yeah, that'd be a good race. That would definitely be a good match.
Yeah, Chris is obviously the younger one and newer to the sport as well. So,
Right.
she's kind of like VJ. She's got some kind of natural talent, and she's got a long way to go. So if she puts the work in, she could turn out to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, she's just naturally fit and active and talented at obstacles and just like adventurous.
I don't think I have any personal questions this time. I didn't think of any beforehand. Do you have any?
Someone bring me some wine. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't have any.
Oh man, we might have an episode without one for the first time. Okay. Well, if one comes up, if one comes to mind, let me know. The first thing that I did want to talk about, though, that was really interesting that came up over the past week or two was Spartan doing some trail races.
Yeah,
I'm sure you saw that.
Random. Yeah, it's so random.
It really did come out of nowhere, and I think everybody was kind of like, "What? What the?"
Yeah, and I think I had seen a comment somewhere where they said, Spartan has their obstacles. That's like their thing is obstacle races. Like they should just stick with their niche. That's what they're known for is obstacle races. So they should just stick with what they're good at instead of trying to like make themselves into another Ragnar or something like that. Like there's plenty of other really good trail races out there, and I'd have to agree. I think Spartan should just stick with the obstacles.
Is that what you've read, or is that your personal opinion?
That's my personal opinion. That's what I think. I think it's cool that they're offering that, but compared to other trail races, them, just charging the insurance fee or whatever it is that they're charging to run a 14K or however 21K, however long it is, that's not bad compared to what I've paid to register for other trail races. But at the same time, it's like whenever I think of Spartan, I don't think of trail races. I think of obstacle races. So if I'm going to go look for a trail race, I'm going to go train for like one of the bigger trail races.
So let's break it down then. First off, you talked about the price, and it's cheaper than running a Spartan, and Spartans can be pretty pricey. But what is the price? Do we even know what it is?
I've seen a couple different things. I've seen like $25 plus the insurance fee, and then I've seen some emails where it says just the insurance fee. So
where did you see it say that it was $25?
I can't remember. I think I've seen it in some people's screenshots because whenever they started, that's whenever I started seeing everything. Was I started seeing the screenshot, everybody posting screenshots of their emails saying, oh, it's going to be $25 or something like that. I don't know. It's something cheap, or it's like, just the $14 insurance fee. Cause that's what I've seen. I've seen both of those.
Okay. Before we get into the actual, legit details of this, where I saw this pop up first was from Obstacle Racing Media. I think, Josh Chase from New England Spartans, I hate saying that. I think he got an email which was basically an invite to say, hey, we're doing this. This one time that we're doing it is invite only, and it's free of charge. You got to pay for the insurance, but we have these two distances. So that's what I've seen so far. And then Spartan does have its own page that talks about it, but it doesn't have any actual details of any events.
So it doesn't have any details of any like links
any future
that they
events
offer or future events. Okay.
Right.
So it's like something they're testing out.
Right. Now, where did you say you saw $25 in
I think
another
I saw,
screenshot?
Yeah. I think I saw something on a screenshot of someone else. Someone else had posted a screenshot of their invitation to pay something.
The invitation to what?
To the trail race, to participate in the trail race. Because there's one for Tahoe, right? There's one for Tahoe. I don't know if it's legit or not. Because I've seen a couple different locations too.
Mm-hmm.
Only 2 different locations. I've seen one for Tahoe and I've seen one for somewhere else. I think there was one for up in Virginia somewhere or West Virginia. I don't know.
All right, hang on a second.
All I know is I didn't get an invitation, and kind of heard about that.
All right. I just sent you an image, a screenshot. Is this the one that you saw?
Yeah, $25 and $15 for insurance.
All right, read that email.
Nevada.
Read that email.
Trail World.
No, like start from the top.
Okay. Jason, you did it. Welcome to
Nope,
the
go
2018
higher.
World
Go higher.
Championships. You've qualified.
Start-
Spartan Trail World. Where higher? Where higher?
Yeah,
What are you
start.
talking about?
You've qualified.
You've qualified. Qualified how?
All right, now read. Keep reading.
Spartan Trail World Championship. Welcome to the 2018 Spartan Trail World Championship. The only way in was to earn your spot through hard work, and you achieved that. You are now in the top tier of Spartan athletes in the world this year. Well,
Keep reading.
we saw that you ran a 5K trail race, and that's how you qualified. Only the top tier of Spartans also run trail races, and that's how we know you've got what it takes to race in our trail championship.
Does that not seem a little fishy?
It's so confusing. Like, because you've ran a 5K trail race, that means like you're in a super elite group of Spartans that run trail races and not just obstacle races.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And it goes
wow.
on to say this email doesn't guarantee
your entry into the race, so make sure to register for the Saturday Elite Championship heat as soon as possible. Don't miss your chance. Spots are filling up and are probably already full. Wait,
And what's the date?
November 10th at 6 a.m.
Which is also what?
Yeah, World's Toughest Mudder, but it doesn't.
Uh-huh.
World's Toughest Mudder does. Oh, jeez. What are they doing? But did you see this? Wait! Did you see the distances on this?
Yes.
The distances on this email. It says 5K or 1 meter. What?
Anna,
You're messing with me.
I made that.
You made that? Okay.
I'm pretty positive that you're
I
not the
totally-
only person that quoted details from this email.
I totally got punked.
As soon as they announced the trail races,
You
like
made
as
one.
soon as that happened, I was like, qualification emails going out right away. World Championship, even though none of this exists yet, and I'm pretty sure multiple people that saw this. I know I could
That's a
think
pretty
of some
good.
other people that
yeah.
thought it was real as well.
Legit. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh man. That's pretty good.
Which is obviously playing on the fact that, you know, everybody in the world got the qualification for Iceland last year.
right. And the trifecta, which it's funny because, you know, my trifecta qualification invitation to Greece email, you know, it finally came
Mhm.
in like maybe 3 weeks ago or so. And I'm like, wait, I haven't even gotten a trifecta this year. I got like 2 last year, but they never sent me one. But now I'm getting one because they said I completed a trifecta this year. That doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
If you run one race, you are a trifecta qualifier.
That's
Like,
right.
it
They
says
had
that-
it. Yeah, they have it on all their shirts. How could I forget?
So,
Oh, man.
for those that are out there that have seen an email about the Spartan Trail World Championship, that does not exist at the moment.
I feel so dumb.
Yeah, you know, I tried.
But that was
it
a good one. That was a good. Yeah, you got me.
It was during a work day, and I tried to put it out, and like
No, obviously, you weren't working, so you had a lot of time
Well,
on your hands.
you know,
No, I'm kidding.
I made it, and then Matt and Heather were, and I think Mike, yeah, Matt, Heather, and Mike were all on a live call, and they were talking about the trail races, and I was trying to get it in the comments and say, hey, did y'all see that email about the Trail World Championships? Because I posted it in, I don't remember where I posted it, but I posted it on our page, you know, on OCR Talk.
Yeah.
But
Oh my god.
I was
Sorry.
trying to get them to see it so that they would talk about it, but they didn't notice either. So
I'm
I
sure
don't
they.
know who
I'm
else
sure they
has
may
seen it
have
out
seen
there.
it after the fact, and like, Oh man, we should have talked about this.
Like, as far as I know, the one that's in Vermont or wherever is the only one. The one that's free invite only right now is the only one that I know of that is legit. So I thought more people would pick up on it, like even
Oh,
the little
man.
silly details that I put in there.
Yeah, well, and then, as many times as I've seen that or I've scrolled past it because people have commented on it or whatever, I just now saw the distance. And like,
You didn't look at it closely.
Probably had I seen the distances, I would have been like, wait a minute.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So now that we've got that silliness out of the way.
OCR Talk Punked Edition.
So the trail race is a legit thing that they are putting on at least one trail race. But what I want to know is, what is the format as far as, is it going to take place at an existing Spartan race? And I do believe that somebody said that there is another race there that day. So is it going to be the normal Spartan trail, like for the race? Or is it going to like come in, like veer off of it and come back? Or is it going to be separate trail? To me, that kind of plays into would I want to do it or not. Like, if you give me a trail race that's at the Spartan race, well, no, I just want to do the obstacles too. But if Spartan wants to get into the trail race,
The trail running world, I guess.
yeah, the start putting on those events, and because Joe DeSena is a businessman. I don't think that just because we think of Spartan as what it is, that they can't put on other types of events. And I say that mainly because look at Warrior Dash. Their parent company doesn't just do Warrior Dash, they do all kinds of events. So there's no reason why Spartan couldn't do it as well. And think about how much less it costs to put on a trail race versus an OCR.
Right.
Why wouldn't they go into that to make some money? Whereas putting on an OCR costs, hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever.
Right. That's a fair argument. But again, back to what I was saying earlier, whenever I think of Spartan, I don't think of trail races. Yeah, I mean, you look at some of their course maps and you're like, oh, this is a runner's course or whatever. But whenever you think of the brand and itself, you don't think of just trail races, You go...
Not yet.
Right. Whereas if they were to create another branch off of their brand, I know he has peak races too that puts on the death race.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was to do something like that and create another branch off of the brand that's not really related to Spartan, doesn't have like the Spartan name attached to it, maybe people would sign up for it. But then again, it's just like road running too. How many road races are there out there? How many, trail races are there out there? I mean, you can pick and choose any weekend out of the month, and there's probably a trail race or a road race going on.
Yeah. But think about at an OCR, you go and there's a festival area and you hang out and you see your friends and it's always a good time. In the trail racing, or I'd say probably more so the trail racing community than the road running community, you don't have that as much. Like, yes, you have your aid station and the start line and finish line, but you don't have this really big consumer experience that you get with obstacle racing. And I think that Spartan, if they do it right, they could do something different that the trail running community hasn't done yet to disrupt the market and basically say, hey, this is still trail running, but we've made it more fun or more enjoyable or more desirable because of this.
Right.
They've got Rakuten coming in to do God knows what. So who knows what they've got up their sleeves. Like, they could change it up and just make it a different experience that we don't even know. As of right now, we have no comprehension of what that could be.
They could, but then I also feel like Ragnar is already kind of making a niche in that trail running community, and
they definitely have a special.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. They've got something special going on there to where people know the name, are getting to know the name, and they're wanting to do the races, and you have people from all over getting to do the races.
But they're one trail running company out of how many that does something different. So if there's one that does something different, then there's obviously other things that you could do that could change it up.
True.
And that's my hope, is that Spartan gets into it with the idea of let's change it up in a way that will bring some new, exciting something to the trail running community.
Yeah. But I mean, what can you do for a trail race that
Well,
would
that's the thing.
bring in something
I don't know.
different?
You don't know,
Yeah.
but there's, these big wig people who have sit around brainstorming ideas all day. They might have something that they thought of that's awesome. So hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I know like in the smaller trail races, it's definitely a different feel at the smaller trail races. Like whenever Walker Higgins puts on a trail race, it's always, it's a smaller group, it's a smaller competitive field, but I think that's what makes it a lot more fun is that it's a smaller group and, it's more local. You have like a little bit of local flavor thrown in there and like just kind of the laid back festival, I guess, afterwards is pretty
And
cool.
that probably fits trail running in general.
Yeah.
The community as it is right now.
Right.
Like even Ragnar is, a laid back party. Everybody's camping out, hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's pretty much what it's been, or my experience anyway, has been with like trail running and trail races.
But again, who knows? It could be something crazy off the wall. It could be them just trying to test the waters to see if their version of it works. They did the time trials. That was a short course.
Yeah.
And it never went anywhere. I thought it was cool, even though it was very similar to other short courses, but it was still fun. I wanted them to do it more, but they decided not to.
Yeah, I definitely think they had something going with the short course option, because obviously Tough Mudder TMX has found success with it, or they're kind of finding their way with that series. So I definitely think they had something going there, but I don't know if it was maybe a problem with logistics or execution or what.
So you had I wouldn't say a positive reaction to it, but you weren't being nasty about it. But there were definitely some people out there who were not so nice about it. I try to look at it from all sides as best I can. Obviously, I'll have my personal opinion, but you've heard all that so far. As I have hope and think that there could be, something good to come from it. We'll see. But some people are just like, nope, not happening. So I took note of some of the comments that some people have made because I thought they were pretty interesting. So one person said, I won't touch a Spartan trail race with a 10-foot pole, my dick, or anyone else's. They need to stick with what they're good at and leave our trail communities alone. Spartan doesn't effing belong here. Whoa, man.
That is a pretty intense response. I think they might have something else going on other than their hate for Spartan trail races. But
yeah.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I wouldn't say that my negative opinion is that strong.
Yours was not that strong, that's for sure. To that person, I would just say, hey, why don't you go try to start up a company that does something,
right.
And see if you have such great ideas that the whole world is blown away by
right.
it. But
now, okay, I will say this about trail communities before you go on to the next comment, because these are going to get interesting. I don't know how you can top that first one, but I will say this about the trail communities.
Should have saved that for Dan.
Is that, yeah, they are smaller groups and they do kind of, like to help each other out. It's very much a community, like he said. And I will say this about the trail running communities is that I would rather support a smaller trail company. Like there's a couple race directors that I know of, like Walker Higgins, or there's this lady Edie in my trail running group that puts on trail races every year, or the Q50 races. I would more likely support those local trail races just to support, their events so that they can keep putting on events.
Sure, but you could say that about a local OCR as well.
Right. Well, yeah, it's the same concept. So I mean, the trail running community and OCR communities are pretty similar in that aspect. So I kind of see where he's coming from, but I definitely don't have as strong of a reaction.
I think some of these people are like, I can't tell, are they just like against trail racing altogether, or just saying Spartans stay out of something that I also like? Like, why? I don't know.
I don't know.
It doesn't. It kind of
Maybe
defies
they have
logic
an
to me.
issue with Big Brother.
But they probably do Spartan regular races themselves, so that's where it kind of blows me away. Like, if you like Spartan as an OCR, why not give them a shot here instead of just being downright mean and saying, "How dare you think that you can? Or you're too big of a company to do this." You know, like, or they think that they're like a Walmart type situation. Right. Maybe, I don't know. Another comment just straight up said lazy. So succinct. Spartans lazy because they want to put on a different type of event than what they do now?
Or maybe
lazy because it's easy to put on trail races? Yeah. Like, are you also calling every other trail race lazy? I don't know.
Comment was lazy.
Yeah, it was. Not even a period. They did capitalize the L.
Oh, so they did. But then, if they did it from their phone, then it did it for them.
Probably so. All right, another one said, not interested. I have plenty of trail runs out here. Spartan should stick to what it does best. Well, how do you know that they don't do trail races best? They've never done any.
True.
So how can you say stick to what you do best, because that's the only thing they do right now?
That's just what they're known for at this point.
So, all right, go run your other trail runs. Maybe Spartan will come out with one that happens to be way better than any trail run you've ever done in your life. So then what? You going to stick to your morals with your dumb comment? Another one said, I thought Spartan was basically a trail run anyways, which is just kind of comical because, some people are like, well, we are just trail running, right?
Pretty much.
Another one said, or the last one that I saw said, considering how little regard they generally have for making the courses interesting versus punitive, I can't see why I would want to do that. And what I think they're referring to is like hiking up tall mountains or whatever. So have they not ever heard of sky racing?
Right.
I mean, they put you through way worse than what any Spartan races do.
Yeah.
Spartan races at least give you a road.
Yeah, not a lot of people know about sky races, though. It wasn't until I started getting into OCR, and then I saw a lot of these athletes coming in from doing sky races, and like winning all these Spartan races. So, yeah, not a lot of people know about sky races, but at the same time, I mean, do you want a boring trail? I mean, if you were gonna travel somewhere with elevation, wouldn't the appeal of the trail be to run the elevation on the trail? And
you're right, but that's also part of my hesitation and curiosity with them putting on trail races. Where is it going to be? What kind of trail is it actually going to be on? Now, when we do an obstacle race and they run us up a gravel road all the way up the mountain, that doesn't bug me. I'd rather be running through the trails in the woods, but it's kind of just seems kind of normal for Spartan races or for trail for obstacle races. But for a trail race, I hope that it's not just a hike up the road,
Yeah.
So I hope that it does turn out to be a more interesting route than what a Spartan race would typically be on. Whereas a OCR has the obstacles to go with it, so it's not that big of a deal if we're just running down the road. But trail race, I would think to be something else.
Yeah, some switchbacks, some technical trails, something like that.
So yeah, people, it seems like it's mostly coming from the obstacle racing community saying, don't bother going to this other thing. Like, I don't. It's a weird spot. It's like you're obstacle racers. You obviously have done Spartans or do Spartans, but are you just afraid of trail races because you don't know them, or do you do trail races too and you just don't want them mixed in with that? Like, there's a lot of different angles that people are coming from that I find very interesting.
I don't understand the animosity. I really don't. But
some people are like that.
Yeah.
Just straight off the bat, they want to just go straight to the jugular and be like, how dare you? Everything's stupid or whatever.
You can't have new ideas. That's just stupid.
Yeah. Like, if you think it sounds silly, okay, it sounds silly, but why be
Yeah.
so freaking negative? Anyways. So, go run a trail race. I don't care who does it, just do it. Speaking of, did we talk about the guy that broke the marathon record last episode?
I mean, I think we briefly mentioned it. I don't think we
I
got
can't remember if it was
into
before that or not. That was insane, though.
Yeah. 2 hours, 1 minute, and some change, which means he was running a roughly, about a 4:30-ish pace the whole way.
Yeah, that's so
2 hours.
so crazy. Like, I think to myself, can I even sprint that fast? I'm not really sure. But yeah, for that long, for that distance, that's so nuts. And his second half was faster than the first.
That's crazy. He ran a marathon with negative splits,
Yeah.
basically.
And then my favorite part, watching him cross the finish line, is he hits the finish line and he doesn't stop. He runs right to,
He just keeps going.
Yeah, another 15, 20 yards to his coach or
well,
somebody.
you want to make sure you get that, 0.2. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Yeah, he just runs around the block.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Speaking of which, you guys, this weekend, we had the Savage Race, and on Sunday, y'all went home to do that Breaking 2 relay. Y'all were at a track. Y'all had how many people show up?
We ended up having around 28 people show up. And actually, well, there was more that showed up just to watch, but as far as participating, we had around 28 people participate. And we started at around 5 o'clock, which me and Danielle showed up late because I kept thinking in my mind it was at 5:30. So we ended up showing up late, but we came, which is all that matters. So 28 people. And I mean, we were running 200 meters at a time. So we had 2 stations set up at the track. Basically, you would just run from one station to the next. We did it as a relay and did it from 5 o'clock to around a little bit after 7. And we still weren't able to come even close to his record. So, and we had some kids that were like high school kids that are running track. We had some cross country high school kids running with us. We had some ultra runners. It was a good mix of people. It was a good mix of skill level and pace and everything. And we did not even come close to that guy's world record. We did it. Yeah, we ran it. Our official time was 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 13 seconds, which rounds out to about a 4:58 pace.
So when you sprinted, did you have a watch to see like what was your actual pace when you sprinted?
Yeah. So whenever I was sprinting, I ran pretty consistently. I was running around a 4:15 pace, and I thought,
full out sprinting.
Yeah, like full out sprinting.
That's crazy.
A 4:15 pace. But it's only for 200 meters. So, I mean, you go all out for 200 meters. You can go all out for 200 meters.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like your all out is that fast, and that guy did that for that long.
For 2 hours.
Jeez.
Yeah, it really puts it in perspective, though, because around the second time I sprinted, I was talking to one of the other girls that was doing it with us, and I was like, this really puts it all in perspective because this guy ran a marathon by himself in 2 hours and 1 minute, and here we are sprinting, and there's 28 of us, and we're probably not even going to come close to his record.
Yeah,
and,
that's so crazy.
We're only having to sustain that pace for maybe 35, 40 seconds at a time, And by the end of that 40 seconds, it's like, oh my God. Yes. I legit probably would have died if I had to keep up that pace for 2 hours. I would have
keeping up that pace
dead.
for 10 minutes sounds like I'd die.
Yeah, I think if I tried to keep up that pace for a mile, I think I would die.
Wow. That's nuts.
It's just nuts that like he has that aerobic base, that skill level to be able to run that fast for that long. And it's just,
Yeah.
like I can't even fathom it.
What is Usain Bolt's speed or pace, I guess, when he runs 100 meters?
Fast.
look that
I
up.
don't know.
How fast could Usain Bolt run a marathon? Okay.
I don't think a marathon would be his.
If he could somehow keep up his 100-meter pace, so the person writing this article is saying their 0.4-mile loop, they're running it in under 2 minutes, which is a 4:32 pace.
So his world record 100-meter dash, he runs 100 meters in roughly 9.5 seconds, which is about 27 miles an hour, which would translate to a 2-minute, 9.8-second mile. Holy crap.
Okay, yeah. So even that, to say, he's running half of what they're running for that marathon, a little even less. But to think of, when you say half, like half of 20-minute mile is 10 minutes, and that sounds reasonable. But to go from a 4.5-minute mile to a 2-minute mile, it's not a huge difference. Like, obviously it is, but in comparison to you running your normal marathon pace versus running that 200 meters, is nowhere near that same difference.
No. I've never actually run an official marathon.
Not just a regular marathon, right? You run marathon distances in OCR?
Right. I've run longer I've run marathon distances or longer, but as far as like an official marathon, like the Louisiana marathon or, I've never run an actual marathon.
Same here. I don't really have the desire to just road run for that long.
No, I'm good with half marathon distances on the road.
If you gave me a choice of running a marathon on a treadmill or on the road, I would pick the road.
Oh, for sure. All day long.
That would be my one reason for doing it.
Yeah, that's an easy decision. I don't even think I would run a half marathon on a treadmill.
Nah.
No, I think the most I could probably do on a treadmill is a 10K.
I know I have done 6 miles on one before, and it was pretty displeasing.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all had people running, one after the other.
Yeah.
How many times did you run?
So it ended up being, I think, about 8 times per person. So each person ran roughly about 1.5 miles.
Okay. How long in between runs did you have?
We had a pretty good rest, actually, in between runs. By the 3rd or 4th time we ran, we were starting to feel it and like catching our breath and everything. And it felt like the breaks were getting shorter. But what's cool, we had aid stations set up. So like we had stuff like pretzels and little sugary treats and, all the carbs and Gatorade and water and all that to refuel at each station. But yeah, we had a pretty good rest in between runs.
Do you recall about how long it was?
I want to say maybe it was around 8 minutes, something like that. It was somewhere around there.
Okay.
Somewhere around 8 minutes. So it was plenty of time to recover and like get ready for the next time. So it was basically like getting in a good speed work day. And like running intervals at the track.
Nice.
Which like I'm still feeling today. But yeah, it was definitely a fun experience, and it was just like everybody hanging out and like getting to run and everything, and we had never really watched each other run, and that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing about it was like whenever you were running, all eyes were on you. So, and it was funny because I think the best part of the night though was Daniel's a bigger guy. He used to play defensive lineman in high school. Daniel's a bigger guy, and like whenever he took off his first couple of times, they were like, "Dang, he can move."
They were surprised he could run that fast.
Yeah, because in both my running groups, everybody, I'd always talked about him and everything like that. And since he lives in Baton Rouge, they just don't see him as much. So this was like everybody's first time meeting him, and they all underestimated him, and it was so awesome. It was
Nice.
so great. They were like, man, he can move. He's like a tank. One of the guys was like, I would not want him running after me.
Good job, Daniel.
Yeah.
So y'all did that on Sunday.
Yeah.
How was your race on Saturday?
Oh, it was like, super great. No, Saturday. Yeah. So Saturday, y'all probably saw Jason's post about how it was flooded and the race got canceled. And so whenever I got up to wake up and get ready for the race, that's when Daniel told me that the race was canceled because of flooding. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom and then go back to bed. And it's probably like the first Saturday, and I don't know how long that I've actually slept in. And I didn't wake back up until, I don't know, when did I text you? Like around 10:30 and texted you back.
Yeah.
That's when I woke up.
Yeah, the rain was very heavy the night before and all night long. And with the weather being so dry, typically the water will rush in and then the ground will soak it right up. So it will fill up everything that's around and then go down pretty quickly. So that morning, I knew I should have checked before I left the house, and I forgot to. So I was literally the exit before the exit that the race was at when I got a text from Kevin Harkins saying that it was canceled. And it was about an hour from my house, so I had driven all the way out there.
Golly.
But Kevin and Juan were out there, and we actually went ahead and got breakfast while we were out there. And Coach Payne was at the same restaurant too, so he sat with us and chatted for a bit. They said, from anybody that hasn't seen the Savage Race videos, they were saying that that bridge that's on that course, that the water was literally up to your chest if you were standing on that bridge.
Yeah, normally it's like ankle deep water.
Yeah, and that's a 20. I'd say maybe a 12 to 15 foot deep creek, whereas it's usually a trickle that you're running through, and it was all the way up over the bridge, so a good probably 20 feet deep at the time when it was at its deepest.
From our experience driving in from Louisiana, we brought our dogs and we dropped them off at my mom's house in Richardson and went to our Airbnb in Burleson because it was closer to the venue. But just driving out to our Airbnb, I was like, this is not good. I think growing up in Dallas, that's like the slowest I've ever driven down Loop 12. And like I saw all these signs saying turn around, don't drown. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I about to drive into? And yeah, and it was in kind of a more hillier country area. So whenever we would be going downhill, like all the water was rushing downhill, and then we would, get down to the bottom of the hill and have to come back up, and then we'd have to go through like this deep water. And I'm like, oh gosh, we're never going to make it there. We're never going to make it. I just need to turn around, but we've already come this far.
Yeah.
And the GPS kept saying only 3 more miles. I'm like, oh my God, 3 miles. That's so long. So I should have known, just judging from the drive the night before, that it probably wasn't boding well for the race the next day.
They got their stuff together, and the parking lot was underwater, the festival was underwater, it was rushing water on the course, so it was very unsafe. So they did cancel on Saturday and got everything together to put on the race on Sunday. So the water had receded, and it turned out to be a fantastic event. We were pretty bummed that you guys had already planned to go home, because it did turn out to be a pretty awesome day. When did y'all leave?
We left Sunday morning. It was probably like around 8 or 9 that we left.
8 or 9. Y'all left right as the race was starting.
Yeah. Yeah, because we still had to go back to Richardson and pick up our dogs and everything, and we wanted to make it back in time.
The parking was fine. They actually moved it a little further up the hill from where they usually park.
Mm-hmm.
So while the ground was still really wet and stuff, I didn't see anybody getting stuck or anything.
Yeah, that was one of the things we were worried about, though, was the parking. Like, what's the
Yeah.
parking situation going to be like?
Yeah, it turned out to be pretty good. And I think they were able to pull it off because, this is their first time having a Sunday event at this location because of the Blitz this year.
Yeah.
And because of the rain and because this being the first time, it probably had a much smaller crowd than Saturday would have had on a normal sunny weekend. So not as many people to park, not as many people to race. It actually turned out to be just a much more intimate, really enjoyable, good time, good race. Coach Payne was out there doing the send-offs at the start line. I've actually got some video from the live stream that I did that I think I'm a couple of pieces where he talked about the volunteers that I'm going to cut up and post somewhere. It was cool to see, especially in the Pro Wave, so many familiar faces and how many of those familiar faces got on the podium and the age group podiums that it was really, really cool.
That's cool.
Like usually, you see a couple of these people, but it was like, all of us, like we are all on the podium. It was so much fun. Whereas Victor Quezada got second next to this guy, James, who I know I've seen elsewhere, if not at Savage, getting first in previous years. Dude looks like a long distance runner, like super tall and super skinny, but he must have the obstacle proficiency down because he got first. Age group wise, the Masters was Jeremiah, Juan, and Mac. So it was really cool seeing those three guys getting up there together. Christina Armstrong was on the age group podium. Myself and Miles were in our age group together, which was pretty awesome. He got second and I was third.
Nice.
And then, Cash was up there somewhere. I couldn't name everybody that got up there, but it was just tons of people that you knew.
Yeah.
Ken Corgiano, Rachel Corgiano, they weren't there for the ceremony, but they were up there as well. Since the weekend was all crazy as it was, they modified the course so that it didn't run into the dangerous areas, and it was an in-between. It wasn't a full length, and it wasn't a blitz. It was a 4.5 mile mixture of the two. So you had all the good rigs and the really grip intensive stuff of the blitz, but then you also had the more signature obstacles like Colossus and some of those other ones. So it was a really good fun course. Super challenging because it was so wet. Poor Alexandra Walker and the girl that was behind her didn't make it within the time limit because they were having trouble in those last couple of obstacles. They were just so intense.
What obstacles did they have closed? Because we were kind of wondering about that too. Like, are
Davy Jones Locker for sure.
Yeah.
I think it got tore up in the rain, in the water, Russian water or something. I don't know what else though. That one was the only one that I knew for sure.
Like, did they had Sawtooth and
they had Sawtooth and Wheel World and
Twirly
Bird. At the end, the very last two was Holy Sheets and Battering Ram, which were both pretty intense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure those were tricky to do wet.
Oh yeah. They had a Savage rig.
Was that like a low rig?
No, it's just a regular,
regular
rings
rig.
And different holds. All that stuff was just the wetness just made everything super challenging. So really, like for myself, it was more of I'm so proud of myself just because I was able to do the obstacles in the wetness with everything being damp because that really shows that I've got my grip where I want it to be because I can actually hang on to that stuff.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I'm signed up under Yancey Camp with Allison Ty, and she emailed all of her people signed up under her on her roster, and she was talking about practicing on slippery, wet obstacles. Because, it's all nice and good to practice in a gym where you can have chalk and dry hands and dry obstacles. But the real challenge would be to practice on like wet, rainy conditions.
And maybe if you're not there to be able to actually work out on those, maybe not do it all the time, but every once in a while to see where you're at.
Yeah.
I think that's huge to be able to really give yourself a good measurement of how well is my grip coming along.
Yeah. Monday, whenever I went back to the gym in the afternoon. I went after work, and I think he was having us do a circuit where he had us carry plates, and then we were having to do like bent over rows with the plates, and he told everybody to just hold it, through the hole where you would normally put the barbell through.
Yeah.
But I was like, I wonder. So I just held the plate, on top, not through the hole, but like gripped it
Yeah.
on top. And I was trying to do my bent over rows like that. I was like, oh man, my forearms were like burning after that workout. It was a 25-pound plate, because I'm like, normally 25 pounds is like, it's nothing whenever you're holding it like he said to hold it. But I mean, you hold 25 pounds between your fingertips. That sucker gets heavy real quick.
I would say that with it being wet, there is a slightly different technique on certain obstacles. And a lot of them, because you may not have the strength to hold and do like single-handed holds like you may if you have that kind of strength normally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about focusing on, okay, well, how do I need to adjust to still be able to stay on? Like maybe matching hands or just gripping extra tight. There's definitely moments where, for example, on battering ram, when I was the very last obstacle and I'm getting towards the end of this thing and I just feel my grip going and I'm like, don't fall off. And I literally could feel myself just gripping as hard as I possibly could. And I made it through, but it felt like I gave it every single thing I had in me. So sometimes it's literally about, willing yourself to not let go, because sometimes when you get tired and your arms hurt, you just like, I got, it was too hard.
Yeah.
But you can always go that little extra amount.
Probably feel it the next day, but yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. The first lap competitively was running fairly decent. I wouldn't say my running pace was extremely exciting or anything, but I kept going back and forth with Miles, passing him on obstacles, and then he would pass me on the run. And there was a good mile section towards the end where there weren't many obstacles at all, and that's where he left me, and I didn't see him again after that.
Yeah.
That dude's definitely got a better lung capacity than I do at this moment. So.
And running through mud and real thick, sticky mud too is a workout as well. Because
takes it out of you.
Oh yeah, you get mud caked on your shoes, so your legs are heavier than normal, and then the amount of effort it takes to pull your legs out of the mud and keep your cadence up. That's just taxing itself.
Right after I got done, I stopped, got a quick bite to eat, checked my results, and then went out for another lap and took that one more. All right, I'm training for World Toughest Mudder, so I'm just getting miles in. Just took it kind of slow and steady and ran through and was able to do every obstacle again. I did slip on Twirly Bird, missed the grip and didn't bother to redo it because I was just trying to get through. But I was still able to do everything else, which was really cool. And when I came through on that second lap, Alexandra Walker was still at Holy Sheets. One thing that's cool that Savage Race does is you've got, I think, a 3-hour time limit for the pros. So it's not just till they pull up the course like Conquer Gauntlet does it. It's it's got to be done in time to do the award ceremony.
Yeah.
There wasn't a third place girl, so they were still out there pushing all the way until the end. So that was really impressive to see them really go after it. But I know that's got to be tough, time creeping up on you and just don't feel like your arms get back to shape to be able to do it. So I ran that second lap, and when I got done, I went and just hung out for a bit because we were waiting for the award ceremony, and we had found out that they were going to do a final lap or final wave at 1:00. So we waited around, started to live stream. I walked around and just talked about stuff, and we watched the award ceremony. And then when they sent out the volunteers, me, Juan, Jeremiah, and Mac all went out together. So I went out with those 3 Masters guys, Masters Podium guys, which was pretty cool. We had a good time just hanging out, talking about obstacles and technique, and I brought the gimbal with me and live streamed the whole thing, and it was fun.
Nice.
I had a really good time.
I think that's one thing I wish I would have, that I missed, that I wish I would have stayed for, was just practicing on the obstacle, just playing around on the obstacles.
Yep. Yeah, I know that was like, yeah, you missed the race. No big deal. But yeah, that was the fun part for sure.
Yeah, just getting to play around on the obstacles and kind of fool around a little bit and just practice on them. Because I mean, it's really not every day that you get to play around on stuff like that, especially Twirly Bird, because I've never actually put my hands on those bungee cords, so I just want to know what it feels like.
Yeah, and that is a good part of that is getting to try, even for the things you've done a bunch of times, try it a different way to see if there's a better technique.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody else that's with you says, hey, try this. This is how I do it. So you get to get different ideas and stuff.
It's been pretty cool, though, because the last couple weeks I've been, I know we were talking about how we're training for World's Toughest this week, or, leading up to it now that it's only like, 40-something days away. That's what's so tricky about endurance events. I was just telling Daniel this the other day, is that, yeah, it's only 40-something days away, but at this point, if you haven't been training for it, like, there's really not much you can add into your routine right now that could make a difference. But, that being said, I kind of mixed up my routine a little bit, and I hadn't been putting in as much mileage these last couple weeks, because I'm getting in more strength workouts, which I had been kind of sprinkling in strength workouts here and there, but nothing like big time. I was checking out a gym that I've been knowing about, I've been wanting to check out, and signed up with them finally just for like, a little trial period. And I was testing out there's some of their strength classes, and it's pretty interesting. He kind of asks what we do or what our goals are, and I know the owner because I had shown up for some of their community events a couple times, so he knew I was like big into OCR and everything. So he kind of threw in some different exercises this week and different workouts, and it's been interesting, and I think it's been paying off in my running. It's been translating very well to my running.
Nice.
Adding in the strength workouts, because I feel stronger whenever I'm running, and like my pace feels better at faster speeds, and I feel like I can sustain them for longer, adding in the strength workouts. So I think that's been making a difference there anyway.
Yeah, I've still been just trying to fit it in where I can. Like this week, I had 2 days where I was at a training thing, and then now I'm spending 3 days with clients conducting training. So it's just my schedule's being kind of crazy. So I'm trying to fit it in where I can. Like Savage Race ran 3 laps. Tough Mudder is coming up this weekend in Dallas. Gonna do a lap with Tougher, and then April and her brother Taylor are gonna come out with some of his friends and run the half with me. So that'll be fun too.
That's cool. You gonna do multiple laps of the half, or are you?
No, once we're done with them, I'll be done. But I'm gonna run on Sunday with Kevin Harkins doing. I think he had gotten some codes for the 5K, so I think we're just gonna do that. So I won't have a huge amount of mileage this weekend, but the next weekend will be a 20K trail race. So
nice,
getting it in here and there.
Yeah, I've got my first official 50K coming up.
Oh, before World's Toughest?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's exactly a month before World's Toughest, and I kind of planned it that way. Well, it so happened to fall on that weekend, but I had the option to sign up for free for that race, so I took it.
Yeah, let's try to record the week after that, because we'll both have run some trail races. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
a trail race?
Yeah, it's a trail race.
Cool.
Which I'm signed up for the 50K, which is like the lowest option available. because
Really?
because
Wow.
it's one of Walker Higgins's races, and it's either you could run the 50K, the 50 mile, or the 100 mile. Like those are the only options.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, 50K, please. For those locally in Louisiana, speaking of Walker Higgins or any surrounding areas, it's the spots are limited for this series coming up on October 13th. It's his Canefield Classic, and it's super fun, and it's probably one of like the best races he puts on every year. I look forward to doing it every year.
In the Canefield Classic, I know you run through rows of sugarcane.
Yes, that's
right?
one of them. So it's actually 3 different races, 3 different runs.
What I want to know is when you do that, if you're behind somebody, what do you do?
You're stuck.
If you're looking like you could pass them up.
You could. There are spots at the end of the rows, where you have to like turn around and go to the next row. So there are spots where you can
Could you
pass people.
Squeeze past
You can.
them?
Yeah, I've had people pass me like that in the rows. Yeah,
Okay,
and they just
okay.
run through the sugar cane.
Hearing it from Mark Duplessis, I don't know. He always made it sound like it's near impossible to do it. But I always thought, man, if some slow person, I'd feel like I would just blow past them and be like, yeah, on your left,
And last year, I think some of the sugar cane was cut too. It had just been cut, so it was a lot lower. It wasn't
not as high,
like super high. So last year was a lot easier to pass people up. So it just depends on what the rows are looking like, if they had just cut the fields or what.
All right, Mark, when it comes this year, tell those slow old ladies to get out of the way.
Well, see, this is the thing. The thing is that okay, so everybody go sign up for this race that you want to do it, because like you get a really cool machete if you do all 3 of the races. And
that is pretty
you
awesome
get a machete for running
award.
7 miles total. So that's the last run though. So it's a 3 different runs. You start out with the 1 mile run, which is just a 1 mile run around a field, and it's mostly flat. There's no elevation whatsoever to this. It's all in sugarcane fields. And then the second run is your 4 mile run around the fields. He plots out a course going around the fields on this piece of property. And then the third run is a 2 mile run. You start out, it's a mad sprint around the corner
to get to the cane,
get to the cane, so that whenever you do enter the rows, you want to be out in front so that you're not stuck behind somebody slow. So it's like a mad dash. But once you're in there, it's only 2 miles and a sprint to the finish. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's October 13th, and spots are limited because obviously he can only buy so many machetes to give out. So but yeah, so that's one of the races I'm doing in October.
We talked about the Spartan Trail Race a lot longer than I thought we would.
Those comments were funny.
Okay, well, let's try to wrap it up there. Everybody, if you didn't get to check out the live stream during the live stream, it's still up there on our Facebook page, and I'm going to cut it, like I said, down into a shorter video that's just showcasing the obstacles, basically. So look out for that coming soon, later this week as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And sorry we missed you, but glad that you had a good time out at the track.
Yeah. I really wanted to run that Savage race too.
Yeah.
I have never run a Savage race. This would have been my first Savage race in all my years of running.
Well, you get free deferral for next year.
Yeah.
October.
Yeah, I already emailed them about next year. I already emailed them about deferring my race to get my race code or whatever. Which I'm really hoping, since I was signed up for Pro Wave, that whatever code they send me is going to be good for a Pro Wave at whatever venue I decide to.
Yeah, it should. It should. Everybody, don't forget to follow, listen, and talk, and whatever else you want to do. I don't care. All right.
Go run a Spartan Trail Race.
All right, Anna. Talk to you later.
All right, bye. Declan, you want to say hello?
No.
Bye.